When she realizes she lost you, my friend, it's like getting punched in the stomach in slow motion with HD replay and a zoom on her desperate face. You know that arrogance of someone who thinks you're going to stay there, like a golden retriever wagging its tail waiting for scraps. Exactly. Her sandcastle collapses when you do the most brutal and effective thing possible: disappear. You vanish from her life like a street magician, but with class. And the silence, my friend, is deafening. That's when the circus catches fire. The horror show kicks in with regret, longing, jealousy, guilt, and a generous sprinkle of insecurity. A combo so explosive that even she, with her endless confidence, didn't believe it was possible. Because let's face it, in her little head, you were easily replaceable. Spoiler alert, you weren't. So, brace yourself, because today I'm going to lay out the 5 devastating feelings that turn her little world into an emotional chaos worthy of a horror movie. Will it be pretty? No. Will it be fair? Absolutely. And if you think I'm exaggerating, it's because you haven't seen the script of this disaster yet. Before we start, a pause for a moment of gratitude to the algorithm. Yes, buddy, because nothing in life is free, not even your time here. So, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a thanks master in the comments. It's not for me, it's for the algorithm, which loves seeing people click buttons. Enough procrastinating, let's get straight to the point. Number 1, the shattering of illusion. The classic. You only value something when you lose it. What a cliched phrase, right? Well, it works like a glove here. While you were there, always helpful, giving attention, sending messages, being the guy who never fails to show up. She felt like a true VIP queen. You were too predictable, almost like a personal assistant for her ego. In her head, "He likes me too much to leave," was the lifelong guarantee that you would never have the courage to disappear. Poor thing. But everything falls apart when you do the unthinkable. You vanish from the map. Stop chasing, disappear like an emotional ninja. And there, my friend, the reality punch hits hard. Her perfect illusion goes down the drain. You know that exaggerated confidence she had? It turns to dust. For the first time, she realizes you're not a predictable knick-knack she can manipulate at will. And that's when the first stage of the collapse begins. Denial. He's only doing this to provoke me. It's drama. He'll come back soon. She clings to this lie like a castaway to a piece of wood, because admitting you're really gone would hurt her pride more than a slap in the face. But days pass, the silence grows, and then, bam, insecurity kicks in. Why is he so quiet? Did he find someone else? Was I not all that I thought I was? And that's when the circus catches fire. Her pride, which once made her treat you with disdain, is now in tatters. What was once arrogance turns into toxic longing. She misses your silly messages, your stupid jokes, and even that good morning she ignored without ceremony. You know what's left now? An empty hole. And what happens when the void tightens? She starts losing it in silence. The girl reads and rereads those messages you sent and never had the decency to reply to. She spies on your Instagram, stalks your life, looking for a sign that you're still hanging on to the past. And what does she find? Nothing. No hints, no heartbreak posts, no signs of life. This destroys any hope because it makes it clear that this time she lost you. And look at the irony of fate. You don't have to move a muscle. Your absence speaks louder than any long message or cliché phrase. The control she loved to hold disappears, and the game is over. Now the void you left is in charge. This shattering of illusion is brutal. It's not just about losing you. It's about realizing she's not irreplaceable, that the pedestal she placed herself on was just a wobbly stool. And that hurts, much more than a simple breakup. But hold on. This is just the beginning. Because after the shattered illusion comes regret, and my friend, the horror show is just heating up. Grab some popcorn and keep watching. Number 2, regret begins. All right, the illusion is already gone to hell. And now the real villain enters the scene. Regret. And trust me, he doesn't arrive politely knocking on the door. No, he crashes in, invades, and throws reality in her face like a bucket of ice water in winter. It's at this moment she's forced to face her choices in the mirror, and the reflection isn't pretty. Because now, finally, she understands. The screw-up was hers. She starts to remember. Oh, how she remembers. Every time you tried to be kind and were ignored. Every message you sent that she read with that blasé disdain. Every attempt you made to please. Every detail of yours. Every wasted effort. Because in her little world, you would always be there. A fixture. A permanent piece of furniture. Something guaranteed. But now you're no longer there. And the silence becomes the biggest slap in the face she could receive. It's in this void that the avalanche of thoughts comes. What if I had acted differently? If I had valued him more? If I had treated him the way he deserved? But what if doesn't pay debts, my friend? And regret is cruel precisely because it brings a gigantic weight. That of irreversible loss. It's not just losing you. It's realizing that no one else will be able to fill the spot you had. Because now she understands that the market is full of men, but you were unique. No other guy will have your patience, your way, your absurd willingness to be there for her. And that, my friend, hurts. And you know what she does now? She throws herself into the past, like a drunk who can't handle the hangover. She opens her phone and sifts through those old messages she used to ignorantly delight in. Every message from you now feels like a relic. She looks at your photos with a heavy heart and thinks, how could he be so good to me? How could I have been so stupid? And then comes the rotten cherry on top, the impulse to send a message. But it's not a sincere message, full of regret and maturity. No way. It's always one of those pathetic pearls. Hey, stranger. Thought of you today. Do you still have that shirt I left there? Of course, because admitting she misses you would be an ego humiliation, right? So she makes up stupid excuses, starts conversations with absurd questions, all just to poke you and see if you're still there, available, like a fool. But here's the detail you need to note. This regret isn't love. Not yet. It's pure desperation over lost control. She realizes she no longer has the power she thought she had over you, and that eats her up. She wanted to turn back time and fix everything, but life is cruel. Time and opportunities, once wasted, don't come back. And it's precisely at this point that regret opens the doors to something even heavier, longing. Because one thing is losing someone you didn't value. Another, very different thing is realizing too late that you lost the best thing you ever had. And believe me, this longing will hit hard, and there's no remedy to cure it. Hold on tight, my friend. The horror show is just heating up. Next stop, the longing that hurts more than a stab to the ego. Number 3, the longing that hurts. All right, we've reached the phase where the hole is deeper. Longing. Now the pride, the ego, and that illusion of control have been kicked to the sidelines. What's left is the void, and this void has a name, a last name, and an address. You. And don't be fooled, my friend. This longing is crueler than any ending of a Mexican telenovela. She starts to realize you weren't just another one. You weren't just a guy who sent messages and cared. You were the guy. And now, without you, the little things she never valued start to scream. Your annoying good humor when she was in a bad mood? It's missed. Those lame jokes she rolled her eyes at? Oh, how she'd give anything to hear just one more. And that good morning you sent every single day, even without a reply? Now it's longing in her veins. And the worst part is that longing has a special talent, turning any silly memory into an unbearable ache in the chest. A song on the radio reminds her of you. A place you used to go together? There comes the memory. A phrase you used to say that she found silly? Now it sounds like poetry. Because that's how longing plays. It pokes, it hammers, and it insists until her pride turns to dust. Here's the irony of it all. She thought you were replaceable. If he leaves, I'll find another. Now she realizes the obvious. There's no other like you. Because every person has a unique way, and yours, that mix of affection, patience, and authenticity, isn't found on every corner. Longing teaches this in the worst possible way, when it's too late. And the most wonderful part, you don't even have to lift a finger. While you're moving on with your life, going to the gym, hanging out with friends, or learning to bake sourdough bread, or anything else that doesn't involve her, she's stuck in a toxic mental loop. Rereading old messages? Check. Looking at your photos and stalking your Instagram? Check. Wondering if you miss her as much as she misses you? Check and double check. But here comes the drama. She knows the answer is no. Her silence now isn't charming. It's desperation. And your silence, my friend? Oh, your silence is what hurts the most. Because it confirms what she fears the most. You moved on and she was left behind. And it's at this point that desperation starts to overflow. She drops those embarrassing indirect messages on Instagram, missing what we haven't lived yet. Certain things you only value when you lose them. Or worse, she posts a perfectly staged photo with a poetic caption just to see if you'll look. Because admitting true longing? No way. Her ego won't allow it. But longing, my dear friend, doesn't walk alone. It comes hand in hand with jealousy. Because while she's suffering there, stewing, she imagines, what if he's with someone else? What if someone else is getting the messages that were mine? What if he's happy without me? And honestly, that destroys her. Longing hurts, but the idea of you smiling with someone else, that annihilates her. And here comes the crucial point. This longing is the biggest trophy you could have, because she doesn't just miss you. She misses the version of you she lost forever. That version that was patient, affectionate, and that deep down, she didn't deserve. Now she fights against her own ghost, trapped between what was and what will never be. And believe it, this pain only worsens. Because what comes next is even more delightful to watch. Jealousy burning inside and insecurity throwing a party. Brace yourself, my friend. The horror show is about to reach its peak. Before we continue, I have something to tell you. If you're tired of being the guy she only remembers when she has nothing else to do, the one who gives everything and receives nothing in return, then wake up, my friend. It's time to get out of that ridiculous role of emotional backup and turn the game around once and for all. In the description, there's a digital book that will teach you how to be a real challenge, the type of man that no woman dares to underestimate. You'll learn to never be treated as a second option again, to command respect without having to open your mouth, and to make any woman miss you down to your last hair. Number 4. Jealousy that consumes. If longing was already a low blow, jealousy is the final humiliation. Because one thing is missing someone who disappeared, another, my friend, is imagining that someone's smiling next to someone else. There, her ego, which was already on the ground, is trampled without mercy. You know what hurts the most? You're moving on. No drama, no long messages, no cheesy indirect hints on Instagram. You're light, calm, posting photos with friends, laughing around, maybe even with someone new. And while you shine, she twists and turns. Because now the cruel truth is stamped on her face. You don't need her to be happy. And of course, her mind goes into short circuit. How can he be so well without me? Did he already forget me? Does he have someone else? These questions become the soundtrack in her head, playing 24 hours a day. What was once a throne of comfort turns into a sea of insecurity. She, who always thought she had control, now can't even control her own thoughts. And here comes the best part. You don't need to move a muscle. Just existing is enough. You post a smiling photo. Boom, the chaos is set. You disappear from social media. Paranoia kicks in. You go to a place she knows. She already imagines you there with someone. She, who used to not even say good morning, is now a full-time FBI agent. She starts analyzing everything. Who liked your photo? Who commented? Who is that new friend that appeared in your circle? Every like, every story, every laugh is fuel for her jealousy, burning inside like fire and dry brush. And the most ironic part? All this is happening in her head. You don't even know, don't care. You're just living your life.
But here comes the lowest blow of jealousy. The perception that you're better off without her. It's not just the fear of you being with someone else. It's the absolute terror that this other person is better than her, that they value you the way she never knew how to. Because deep down, she knows she didn't just lose a guy. She lost a man who won't be coming back.
And jealousy, my friend, never walks alone. It comes accompanied by anger and regret. It's here that she starts posting those cliché photos with motivational quotes, or appears with another guy just to provoke you. But the truth? It's all cheap theater. She's trying to tape over the hole you left with duct tape. While she pretends she's okay, you're genuinely okay. And you know what's the cherry on top? Your silence. Silence is the definitive proof that you moved on, that you don't give a damn. And that, my friend, eats her up inside more than any argument. Because while she's struggling, going crazy, and trying to get your attention, you're focused on growing and evolving. And that's when she realizes the game is over. Jealousy has already done its toxic damage, and now only the void of insecurity remains. Because her biggest pain isn't just losing you, it's knowing that because of her, you became someone she'll never have again. All right, jealousy did its toxic magic, and the next act of this horror show is about to begin. Here comes Insecurity, which is going to tear down the little pride she still had left. Grab the popcorn, my friend, because the end of the show is approaching. Number 5, Insecurity takes over. If jealousy had already left her peace in shambles, now comes the final blow, Insecurity. This, my friend, is the moment she looks in the mirror and finally realizes what she always tried to avoid. The problem was never you. The problem was her. Now, the questions that were once about you turn into direct attacks on herself. Why did he move on and I'm still here, stuck? Am I not good enough? Was I never enough? These doubts are like poison ingested in slow daily doses. The confidence that once overflowed now drips down the drain. Because while you're moving forward, calm and collected, looking like a new Life shampoo commercial, she's stuck in a swamp of regret and uncertainty. And what really hits? She realizes you weren't the problematic guy. You weren't the boring or disposable guy. No, you were the guy who did everything, who tried, who cared, who valued. And she was the one who slipped up. And here comes the heaviest blow. She understands that someone else will receive everything she threw away. That someone else will laugh at your stupid jokes, wake up to your silly messages, and feel that genuine care only you have. The thought that someone smarter will look at you and think how amazing he is makes her insecurity snowball. Now, every woman who comes around you is a threat. Who is that coworker? Why did he like that friend's photo? Is she better than me? She starts comparing herself, diminishing herself, doubting her own worth. Her insecurity screams so loudly that she can't even think straight. And in this chaotic state, she resorts to desperation. Empty messages like, "Hey, how are you? Thought of you." Forced stories showing that life went on when clearly it didn't. Indirect hints worthy of a telenovela like, "Certain things you only realize when it's too late." But the worst part is that deep down she knows it's no use anymore. It's not the same thing. You're not in the same place she is. While she tries to fix the past, you're looking to the future. And that, my friend, destroys her inside. Because now the penny drops. You weren't just another guy. You were the guy. The man she thought she'd have forever for a while. And when she realizes that time doesn't turn back, that opportunities were wasted, the only place she can hide is in her own insecurity. She thinks, if I were really special, he wouldn't have left. But there's her mistake. The problem was never you leaving. The problem was her thinking you'd never have the courage to leave. And now, as she drowns in this sea of insecurity, you grow, you strengthen, evolve, become the best version of yourself. Because a man who recognizes his own worth doesn't waste time trying to convince someone to see it. He walks away and lets absence do the work. And my friend, the game ends like this. She lost in memories and doubts, and you free, light, and loose. Because the true victory isn't proving you're worth it. It's proving she was never your equal. The silence of your absence will echo in her life much more than any word ever could. And while she fights against the ghosts she created, you've already won. And there you have it, my friend. The 5 devastating feelings that turn her life into a true emotional horror movie when she realizes she lost you. First came the shattering of illusion, where the penny dropped that you weren't a trained puppy waiting for orders. Then regret, that gigantic weight of knowing she had gold in her hands and threw it away like it was tin. Next, longing, which hit like a stone in her chest, constantly reminding her of what she lost. But nothing compares to jealousy, which drove her crazy imagining you light, whole, and happy without her. And finally, insecurity, the relentless voice that makes her question if the problem was always you. Spoiler, it was. You know what all this proves? That the absence of a man who recognizes his own worth is a silent and fatal weapon. You didn't have to shout, beg, or humiliate yourself. You stepped off the scene, and the void you left did all the work. In the end, you won. Because let's face it, there's no victory more elegant than moving forward without looking back. Now tell me here, have you ever experienced something like this? Drop that sly like, share this video with that friend who needs a push to face reality, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Because here, my friend, the truth is served hot, without filters, and without giving anyone a free pass. See you in the next video, and remember, silence is worth more than 1,000 words.